Anita Rodriguez never believed in folklore, even growing up on Balete Drive, a place known for ghost stories and shadowed windows. But when friends, family, and coworkers begin encountering someone who looks exactly like her, someone smiling when she isn't, speaking when she hasn't, standing in places she's never been, reality begins to fracture. It starts with small misunderstandings. A phone call she never made. Ice cream she never ate. A sighting at the gate in the middle of the night. Then one early morning, the front door opens by itself. And something wearing her face is already standing there. This is a slow-burn psychological horror story about doubles, mirrors, and the terrifying possibility that something is learning how to be you. Listen carefully. And when you look in the mirror tonight, make sure you move first. There's a German word, doppelgänger. It means double walker. In folklore, it's the shadow self that follows a person through life, unseen, just behind them, sometimes guiding, sometimes misleading. They say it never casts a reflection. And if you ever see it face to face, it's a bad omen. Worse still, it almost never shows itself to your friends or family. Almost never. Anita Rodriguez never believed in any of that. She grew up on Balete Drive in New Manila, a place practically famous for ghost stories. People whispered about pale figures on the roadside and silhouettes standing in second-floor windows. But Anita dismissed all of it. She was practical. Logical. By her 20s, she was a successful graphic artist with deadlines, meetings, and bills to worry about. The supernatural was background noise to her. There was only one rumor she refused to entertain, the one that said something in her house looked exactly like her. The first incident was small enough to ignore. At her grandfather's birthday party, her cousin Jessica approached her at the buffet table and asked for an old photo album Anita had promised to bring. Anita stared at her blankly. She had no idea what Jessica was talking about. "You called me yesterday," Jessica insisted. "Around lunchtime. You said you were cooking and you'd bring the album today." Anita felt irritation rise in her chest. She hadn't been home the entire day. Her parents were out of town. The housekeeper was on leave. She had spent the night at her best friend Tony's place and came straight to the party. "No one was in the house yesterday," she said. Jessica didn't argue further. But she looked disturbed. The second incident was harder to brush off. Anita and Tony attended a friend's party one weekend. They arrived together, and Anita stayed in the living room catching up with friends while Tony headed for dessert. A few minutes later, Tony felt a tap on her shoulder. Anita stood behind her. "What are you eating?" she asked lightly. "Let me try." Tony spoon-fed her purple yum ice cream. Anita smiled and said it was her favorite. Tony noticed she was wearing a different shirt than when they arrived. "You changed?" Anita shrugged and said the first one felt tight, then walked away. 10 minutes later, Tony felt another tap. Anita stood there again, wearing the original shirt. "You're not going to share?" Anita teased. Tony laughed nervously. "You just finished my ice cream." Anita's expression shifted. "I haven't been here. I've been in the living room the entire time." They checked. Anita's friends confirmed she hadn't left their side. The purple yum ice cream container was nearly empty. Anita hated that flavor. After that, small reports began piling up. A coworker claimed to have spoken to her in a bookstore on a day she'd been at work. A neighbor said she saw Anita standing by the gate late at night, staring at the street. Her mother once asked why she had come downstairs at 3 in the morning and stood silently at the bottom of the staircase. Anita had been asleep. Each story felt like a minor crack in reality. None of them alone proved anything. Together, they formed something she didn't want to examine too closely. The turning point came at 4 in the morning. Anita and her cousins Eliza and Jessica were returning home from a night out. They were trying to be quiet. Anita had told her mother they would be home by 2. They walked through the garden toward the front door, laughing softly. Anita reached into her bag and realized she had forgotten her key. They would have to ring the bell. Eliza stepped forward. Before her finger touched the button, the door slowly opened inward. The house beyond was dark. They assumed the housekeeper had been waiting up. Eliza moved closer to the doorway. Anita nudged her from behind. "Go inside." Eliza didn't move. Anita grabbed her arm. It was ice cold. Eliza's face had drained of color. Her eyes were fixed on something just beyond the threshold. Then she collapsed. When she regained consciousness, she was on the living room couch with all the lights on. Anita and Jessica hovered over her. Eliza's voice trembled violently as she explained. "The door opened, and I thought someone was standing there waiting for us." She swallowed. "It was you." Anita's stomach turned. "You were standing right there," Eliza whispered. "Right in front of me." Smiling. Jessica looked at Anita in horror. Anita had been directly behind Eliza the entire time. Eliza began shaking again. It wasn't just smiling. It looked pleased. That was the night Anita stopped being a skeptic. After that, she began noticing things she couldn't unsee. Reflections that didn't sync perfectly. A smile lingering a fraction too long in the mirror. Once, she caught sight of herself at the end of the hallway, only to realize she was still inside her bedroom. Sleep became difficult. One night, unable to rest, Anita went to the bathroom and turned on the light. She stared at her reflection. It stared back. For a moment, just a moment, it tilted its head slightly before she did. Her breath caught. She didn't move. Her reflection smiled. Slowly. Wider than she ever would. Then it snapped back into perfect synchronization. Anita moved out within 3 months. She changed apartments. Changed routines. Even cut her hair short, hoping something, anything, would break whatever connection existed. It didn't. Because a double does not belong to a house. It belongs to you. Years later, Anita avoids mirrors at night. She avoids dark windows. She avoids answering her phone if the caller ID shows her own number, because once, it did. No one believed her when she mentioned that part. Recently, Jessica visited her new apartment. They were in the kitchen when Jessica froze mid-sentence. "What?" Anita asked. Jessica's eyes slowly drifted toward the hallway. "I thought you walked past the door just now." Anita felt the blood drain from her face. "I'm standing right here." They both turned. The hallway was empty. But the bedroom door at the end of it was slowly closing. As if someone had just stepped inside. Anita hasn't spoken publicly since. Jessica refuses to visit again. And sometimes, late at night, Anita hears movement in her apartment, soft footsteps matching hers from the other side of the wall. Not behind her. Not in front of her. Just slightly off. As if something is practicing. Waiting for the moment no one else is around. Because a doppelganger does not replace you immediately. First, it lets everyone get used to seeing it. And the truly terrifying part? Lately, when Anita looks into the mirror, she's not always sure which one of them moved first.